share my screen. All right, so I am Lawrence Wagner with Spark Mindset, and Spark Mindset is a social enterprise that is looking to end poverty and violence in low socioeconomic communities by creating a diverse and inclusive environment in corporations, high school education, and local communities. So we are in the process of creating for high schools a virtual reality educational gaming platform that would teach cybersecurity, coding, and entrepreneurship to high school students, mainly 9th and 10th graders, and primarily underserved communities. So two of the models that we chose to use, one is an adaptive learning model. We chose this because it is faster and it has higher student progression. It adapts to different students' learning abilities. It really engages the students and improves their understanding. And I think these are important as the student is going through our program, is to be engaged, but also to be challenged, learn how to think critically. Also with this model, it allows teachers to get data on students, so teachers will get real-time data on how the students is progressing through the program, along with being able to give feedback, and we will dive into how this benefits the teacher a little later. Another model that we're using is computational thinking. The reason we're doing that is because through the programs, we can make the programs into smaller pieces, and we can actually project the potential impacts that these pieces will have on the students' learning. We can make an adjustments, we can address some issues before they come, and we can actually look to make changes based on new technology and new things moving forward, especially in the cybersecurity and coding worlds. They do change, but we can also establish a pattern, and as they're playing the game, they will have to go through a pattern to learn the skills. So between the adaptive learning and the computational model, we think this is a good way to address the needs of the students and teachers moving forward. So we're gonna create a mix, we're gonna use Windows Mixed Reality that's in a partnership with Microsoft. So the reason we chose virtual reality, again, because students will be interested and engaged, and study shows that students learn faster skills. They learn skills faster while playing video games because they're interactive and fun. Also, with the students being immersed in the virtual reality, they actually will learn how to do the skills by actually working on the technical skills that they need. So they will actually be coding, they will actually be doing cybersecurity, they will be going through entrepreneur workshops, and being able to learn that real time, which in the virtual reality, the cognitive skills that they will gain is much faster than what a teacher would do if they were in front of a teacher in a classroom. So our tracks will be cybersecurity, coding, and entrepreneurship. We chose these three because the Bureau of Statistics says there will be 3.5 unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs in 2021. There will be a 17% increase in software development jobs in 2020, and 40% of the workforce will be either contractors, self-employed, and so knowing how to maneuver from an entrepreneur standpoint is going to be important moving forward. So this is a demo of, we're just gonna go through the cybersecurity track. So students will be able to press the skill that they need to learn. This will be in a particular order. Some of the skills they will be getting is data analysis, computer science, and networks and the internet. So basically, a student will come in with no knowledge of cybersecurity, maybe no knowledge of computers, and go through our program for a year. And in that year, they will be able to learn how to be an entry-level cybersecurity analyst. With that, they should be able to go out and take the Security Plus test, which is an entry-level, it's basically the entry-level barrier to become an analyst. So we're going to gamify this environment, so students will progress through, they will gain levels, they will earn badges. And the reason we chose to go through gamification is because it increased the students' interest and increased their level of achievement. So every time they accomplish something, you know, they get a sense of they can continue to overcome challenges. It also changes their behavior. It helps them with critical thinking skills. It helps them overcome adversity. And it gives them a sense of not falling behind and continue to move forward when things get challenging. So each time a student levels up, they will learn a certain amount of technical skills. So, you know, like computer science. So once they learn all those skills, they will level up. Initially, what we're going to do is test that with assessments, but once we go further in the game, they will actually gain those skills by completing a project. But in the initial stage, we will give them assessments so we can begin to collect data. Also, as they move up, they will be gaining skills in Common Core skills in math and science. So at each level, we want them to increase in their math and science Common Core skills. This will help as when they're being tested by state and federal standards, we understand that they still have to meet these standards. So we want to be able to improve these standards while they're immersed in the video game. So students will be able to earn badges, and this is kind of different. They earn their badges by helping other students. So when other students are having difficulties, they will ask questions. Students will help their first students by answering these questions, maybe creating videos so these students can move forward, which will teach them collaboration skills and teamworking skills. It also teaches them problem solving, and not problem solving as in they are solving problems for themselves, but problem solving as how do I help and provide a solution that helps my fellow students. So those are really good skills that we feel that students need because some of them are going to progress through the game faster than the others. So being able to help their fellow students is something that they're going to have to learn how to collaborate in the real world. So we want to provide those skills going forward. So students will be able to look at a dashboard, and they will be able to see how they're progressing in both their math and Common Core skills, progressing on what they're learning technically wise. They'll be able to see their assessment scores, but also teachers will have access to this so they can monitor their whole classroom, and they can do this real time. So if a student is having trouble, a teacher can go in there and see it right away and actually ask that student if they need any help. Another aspect of the program will be a virtual community. So I will be able to talk to different people from a diverse background, diverse in thought, diverse in economics, social economics, and I can talk to someone if they were in Maryland, and I'm in Colorado, they will still be able to talk to each other. So we thought this was good because not everyone has a support system, and so this will provide students with a support system, with people who can encourage them, with people they can talk to. the only people who will have access to this virtual communities are the students, the teachers, and then people from our team. So we will be monitoring what's being said in the platform, as well as making sure that it's in a safe environment for the students to be able to talk to other students. And this also break down some of the barriers. People with disabilities will be able to chat, people with autism who may have trouble with people in a physical setting, they will be able to learn in this virtual setting how to interact with other people. We also will be teaching students workforce development skills. So we will be teaching them financial literacy, along with teaching them how to interact with other coworkers, how to deal with conflict, so conflict resolution. We'll teach them how to conduct an interview, and other mentorship and other workforce development skills that they need to go forward. So we want the student to be ready for a job coming out of our program. So we're going to be partnering with companies to be able to hire these students. So we want to be able to prepare the student as a whole to be ready to go into the workforce. So teachers in our program will no longer be a teacher directed, where teachers standing in front of the classroom and just lecturing the students. It's be more of a learning directive where teachers will be able to find out based on the dashboard if students need help. So teachers can ask the students like where they're at, what problems are they dealing with. Students will also be able to share with the teacher how they're doing within the class, how they're doing within the program. So there's this interactive learning where the teacher is part of a discussion. So the teacher can ask questions that students can think about differently, but the teacher is no longer the center point of their learning because the program is self-learned. But the teacher can focus on the individual students, actually build real relationships with the student and help them based on where they're at and their needs within the program. So it's not if the students are going to have problems, it's when. And so now the teacher has the time to really be able to focus on her individual students. So as the teacher is learning and as the students are learning, the classroom as a whole is growing, while all this data is being tracked from her classroom. And so we feel like this will actually help the teacher be a better teacher. In addition, we will also pay the teacher, so we're gonna financially support the teachers. We feel that our facilitators should be teachers because they're already in the classroom. So with that, do you have any questions or feedback? You're muted. I can't hear you.
Thank you. I was like, I don't want him to always hear like keyboard going. So thanks for mentioning that. Thank you. I do have a couple questions. So I guess one thing, so the VR aspect, of course, of the actual learning experience is different, but the dashboard in your descriptions of it sounds quite a bit like a typical college LMS or learning management system, so like Canvas or these other things that are meant to create an online component to classes or have entirely online courses. LMSs always have this kind of promise of engagement and that they're discussion driven and students can be communicating fluidly with a faculty member. You get real-time data and different analysis points out of it. And yet in the day-to-day, there's a lot of issues getting real engagement on those platforms. What it ends up defaulting to is students will, post when they have to. Faculty can try and kind of keep abreast of students' progress, but it's not that kind of panacea for engagement that it promised to be. So I'm wondering, what makes the dashboard element of your solution different, or in what ways is it trying to build on the issues that LMSs have experienced to really make sure that that facilitated kind of continual conversation between faculty and students is going on?
Okay, so one is a enhancement. So the students would not be in the virtual reality program the whole entire class period. So it's broken up in halves. So half of the class period, students will be in the VR, half class will be workforce and interaction with the teacher. So the LMS platform where it's saying like students should have, like build this relationship with a teacher or with other students. They never had that human component to it. I think that's one. And then two, like they have to earn badges to graduate from the program. So the only way they can earn these badges is by helping students and interacting with other students. So they get rewarded for actually interacting with students and helping other students. Those rewards are requirements to graduate from this program.
I guess that raises another question. What each of these solutions, so you have the VR element, the dashboard element, the badging piece, so each of the different components, are you building all of that out from scratch, in collaboration and partnership with individual people, but kind of homegrown, that it's all part of your solution? Or are there already existing platforms for any of those that you would be building off of?
So right now it seems we're homegrown with each of these, but that may change as we are in the process of developing our relationship with Microsoft. So they may have a dashboard that they can put into our environment, but the VR aspect and the curriculum is both going to be homegrown built.
Makes sense. Yeah, and I would say on sort of a feedback note, wherever it's possible to use existing platforms, at least for architecture, like the sort of dashboard model or anything like that, or badging systems and credentials even, yeah, it's nice to not have to. But totally in the end, the whole goal, of course, is that it's all integrating well. And so I could see that needing to be kind of a continual assessment.
Yeah, and I agree with you on not starting from scratch in places that you don't have to.
Yeah, save a little bit of work somewhere in the process at least. So one thing I'm not sure I'm totally clear on is how much does this end up depending on the teacher's interaction with the students? I mean, there's the student-driven component, but in terms of, yeah, the teacher intervening or the Spark Mindset team intervening based on, you know, when someone's encountering an issue, how involved is the facilitator versus how much is sort of the program kind of like some element of it runs itself, okay, like the VR?
So the VR and that part runs itself, so it's self-paced. I feel like because the facilitator is there, or our team is there as the student needs us. So the students actually, their first person that they will reach out to is actually their classmates. So they will ask their classmates for help. I think the interaction with the facilitator is that portion when they're not in the VR platform. So based on feedback that we've gotten from students, they still want to interact with their teachers. So that is still important to them, even though they think this is cool. They're looking to learn things from the VR system that a teacher wouldn't teach them, and where they can actually move on their own. So there's where it's self-paced. They can figure out things on their own, but they still want to be able to have classroom discussions. They still want to be able to talk with the teacher. So I think having a teacher be able to ask them those questions, those challenging, like those thought-provoking questions. Once people are out, having people be able to share where they're at in the game. So I think the teacher will still be a very integral part of the process. It's just going to be different.
Mhm. Yeah, my main curiosity on that is, and I guess actually this raises one thing. On the one hand, scaling and scalability of the system. Um, but on the other hand, and maybe this, I guess, depending on where you're pitching this to, maybe this goes in the presentation a little bit more firmly, because I'm realizing I already come with a little bit of that back knowledge. But, you know, right now you have a pretty clear model of how this is going to be implemented, you know, through different partnerships with schools. And so it actually can take part in the existing classroom experience. It just sort of takes over a piece of that in a really compelling way. Whereas I think like the platform as a whole, you know, in theory, you could envision this as, you know, its own like semi-online school or some kind of independent alternative to schools. So I know you mentioned it at the very beginning of sort of the model, but maybe if that makes sense within this presentation, going through that framework of where this is being implemented,
Okay.
so that connection is clear that like, in any case, it's just sort of building on the existing school experience. It's not, you know, I'm sure there's lots of startups these days that are trying to replace the school experience altogether, and you're not one of those. It does really want to just build out and strengthen what the in-person time means, and that facilitated time means, which I think is a cool aspect of it, actually.
Yeah, we actually will be an elective for the school. So we're not trying to get away from some aspects of the traditional teaching. I think some aspects is good. And where a lot of schools are saying we can change the whole teaching model, there's aspects that are really good in our teaching model that we shouldn't get away, but there's aspects where that we can improve. And trying to eliminate a teacher totally, for a lot of kids, that doesn't sit well with them.
Yeah.
So
That was interesting that you guys did that research too.
Yeah, I mean, we did like actually in person ask questions with students. So, and also surveys.
Nice. So yeah, they're not just waiting for robots to come take over student or teaching. That feels a little bit redeeming for those of us in education, at least, I guess. So finally, a little bit of hope. And so why you and why Spark Mindset? What's your team? Where are your guys' expertise that really can build this out in a way that's better than anyone else can do?
Yeah, so me personally, I come from that background. I have a degree in project management and information technology, along with business management. So I know how to put together a software development project. As in for my team consists of the University of Maryland. We have a retired colonel from the Air Force is doing the virtual reality, a professor from CSU who teaches on entrepreneurship. We also, building that partnership with Microsoft. We're looking to also partner with the Zale Group to provide some senior developers to work with the students. So we already have 2 pilot schools, and the students will be helping build the platform.
Yeah, and I think there's even more than that, Lawrence. You guys have, because there's a lot of pieces in play in the system that you're building out, and I would think that almost each piece of it, when you think about, why are you including the badging piece? And I think your answer to that's really compelling, and it's something that not too many people are doing. And so, okay, why am I including that? How did I get to that? what made me think of that and made me want to put that in there. I think between research and also just your own experience and some of what you've experienced and seen in education, there's some other compelling reasons too of why you guys, because I mean, I think, you know, a lot of people could build a VR something. Already a smaller set of people could either build the network or have the expertise to build VR out into these learning opportunities, really, and that side of it. And so by either extending your network or again, in the entrepreneurships or some of your own experience, like you guys have that core piece. So already in that narrow bit, you guys are still there. So I think if you look, there's even more, I don't know what the type of event, if this is one of those where they'll really be hard on and ask that kind of stuff, but if they are, I think you probably have even deeper answers of, you know, there has to be a reason no one else, this thing doesn't exist, right? There's some sort of special expertise or special experience or background that led you to put it all together in these ways, in a way that no one else has. And so just like identifying that and being really non-humble about it.
Okay. Well, actually, we, believe it or not, I interviewed a lot of teachers. So as I was, when we first came up with this idea, every time I talked to a teacher or I talked to an educator, they gave me a piece of, hey, have you thought about this? Hey, have you thought about that? And so I think as we've gone out and really started talking to people about our program, we were able to take some of the ideas that we got every time whether it was a focus group with DPS, whether, you know, so I think a lot of the information that I've now put together has been a combination of multiple interactions with students and teachers and asking their feedback on what kind of system that they wanted and what would benefit them.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would definitely say, you know, maybe, I don't know if it goes in the presentation, but if you like with a question like that, absolutely. I mean, getting real data from a wide range of people in a field is never an especially easy thing to do. And so already just that aspect of it, I think, lends a lot to your case. So I know we're right at 9. Do you have a person right now that you got to switch to? I don't want to.
No, but I have to leave in like 5 more minutes.
5 minutes? Okay. I just have one other thought, and I'm not sure exactly what it looks like, but I think your presentation looks good. I mean, the visuals all look good for the most part. There's one slide I made a note where where was it? Oh, the computational thinking slide. That was the only one where what you were talking about didn't seem to me to directly connect at first with the idea of computational thinking. And by the end, you kind of turned around to it. But I wonder if there's a way to just make like firm that one up. But everywhere else, I think everything seemed really coherent and really logical flow. One other random note on the gamification slide. You mentioned a lot of kind of advantages to gamification. I might use some statistics and, you know, cite some research and stuff in there. I'm sure it's out there. I bet actually a lot of it's even where you like got some of the thoughts of like, oh yeah, we should gamify this. Or yeah, some way of kind of pulling, or maybe you just cite them at the bottom, or I don't know what the best way is, but some way to really say like, hey, this isn't just me talking about it. Like, this is a field and this is evidence, and like, we're not having to prove this part. Like, this is a known thing and we're just implementing it. But yeah, everything seemed pretty strong as arguments. The one thing that I kept thinking about through it is, I wonder, you kind of take us through the process, you know, what almost a student would experience, each of the pieces. So I almost wonder, in terms of building that kind of emotional connection and narrative element of story, almost having the entire presentation be like one person's story, like one possible, you know, student, and they're frustrated with whatever normal education, blah, 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 but they're just really excited about one thing. Their teacher doesn't know all the details about it, but then they're able to take this program. And then, you know, you see their experience in the badging system and maybe the new friend that they made from that, or like the skills they got, or having it all be fed through the lens of one student's experience, I think might be a really compelling way to still be able to talk about all the pieces you're talking about. But then also speak to that, like, hey, in the end, we're talking about people, right? We're like making kids' lives better, and getting at that kind of emotional piece.
Wow, that was good. Yes, I will try to do that. I think that will be a little bit more compelling, because you're getting that empathy piece into.
Yeah, that's a perfect word for it. Yeah, because I think that is one piece that makes this project so compelling. Is really, I mean, it's changing the world, like it's changing people's lives, and so yeah, making, like, you have a lot of good evidence for why you're doing it the way you are. And I think there's a way that as you go through that story, you can kind of jump in and out of the narrative of sort of like, oh yeah, and by the way, like the reason that that's working is like, there's ways I think you can get all your evidence piece out there, but yeah, have that real, like, emotional connection, empathetic connection. Okay. Well, that was, yeah, but thank you. This was great.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. Definitely, when things slow down, I will reach back out again.
Yes, yeah, me too. I'm like, oh, December. I don't know what your timeline looks like, but man, here I'm just like, please, end of semester, please come.
All right, so yes, I'm gonna head out, but I will definitely keep in touch.
Sounds good. Well, good luck with all of this, and congrats already on all the bits and pieces that have been flying around in your life and Spark Mindset, and I'll talk to you sometime soon.
Okay. Bye.